Hello there again, friends. Today is 2/8/2022, and today is the Odin Project vlog day 56. And today we went over fundamentals part 5, the starting part anyway, is what I got through. And tonight's going to be light night. Kind of was a little gassed yet from all the work Saturday, Sunday, and early Monday with finishing up Etch-a-Sketch. So I didn't take the day off, but I kept it light. So I went over objects, which honestly it's it's not a light topic by any means. It looks like it's little, but these articles are important. I actually read them twice. I will say the JavaScript info, I find, I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments what you guys think or what your preference is. But I feel like the JavaScript info page is a little more fun than the MDN. The MDN is good. It's more, I view it more like a reference site. It's very dry, and I find when they do have exercises like this one in the middle of at the end of the articles, they're not as friendly or intuitive as the ones in JavaScript info are. And I just feel like the information is laid out a lot better in JavaScript info. I kind of like it. I'd like to know your comments, what you guys think. Do you really like the MDN as far as a learning material, or do you like it more as like a reference, like what I'm referring to? Because it's a great reference when you're trying to look up something, like when you're looking up something syntactically and you're just getting it wrong. You just need a quick little blurb. The MDN's good, and I find W3 Schools is good too for that. So when you're just looking for something specific and quick. But anyway, I won't make this video very long today, but we'll go through this a little bit here. It says objects are a very important part of JavaScript language, and while for the most part you can accomplish simple and even intermediate tasks without worrying about them, any real project that you're going to attempt is going to feature objects. The uses of objects in JavaScript can get deep very quickly. So for the moment, we're only going to cover the basics, and then in-depth dive will happen later. Sorry here. Okay. I had to make sure my phone was muted. So let's take a look at the JavaScript info. I'm not going to go through it as usual. I'm not going to go through it line by line. I'm just going to highlight some of the important parts. Also, maybe I like it too because they, at least in this one, they use graphics to kind of help illustrate the points of objects. Are kind of like, so they're telling you like the object is like the cabinet drawer, and the files in it are the keys, and then the values to those keys are inside the folder. It's kind of a cool way to look at it, and it actually works really well. Um, because some of the stuff is kind of hard to understand, to wrap your mind around. Again, it'll probably come easier to me personally when I actually hit the editor and start doing it. But to start out by talking about the concept of the cabinet and creating that empty object, and then you talk about literals and properties, and you can put values into it. This, commonly actually looks a lot like a function, but it's not. So you declare the user variable here, and then inside the brackets, you have, these are your keys, and then this would be called your object, and this is called your values. And quotes, as you would suspect, quotation marks are strings, and not quotation marks is a store value of a integer. And they talk about you can get a property by using the alert. It's both the articles go over this in depth actually as a alert as a get. I'm sure there's other ways to get and set, but there's your using get to alert to get, and then use the word delete to delete, and then they're going over an example of you can add in something with a boolean. Oops, why does it always do that? That's frustrating. Must be my VM. But anyway, Um, user dot is admin. You can use equals true. You can use booleans basically to add that in. So that tells they're just showing you how they're putting in is admin um, inside the cabinet, if you will, inside the user's object. And then they're showing you can delete user.age with this syntax. I think they call it dot, maybe. Um, anyway, and then they go in and they talk about last property usually ends with a comma, but there's one up here that does not, so you may not, it may be optional, but just syntactically is probably a good idea to use commas, just like we would normally use semicolons in JavaScript. So here use commas, be a good thing. And they just say the last comma is a trailing or hanging comma. Then they go over an example of an improper way of adding. You can't add spaces into your keys, or well, the key. So if your key was like birds, you can't use a space. That's an illegal operator, and you'll get an error. You can't use spaces, and I think you can't use any specials except $sign and yeah, I was guessing close. I wasn't even looking at the screen. $signs and underscores are allowed. No numbers are allowed either. Yep, doesn't start with digits and doesn't include special characters. I actually read through this twice, so just for further understanding, because I didn't feel like it was super clear to me the first time, and I still don't understand all of it, but that'll come with time. And then here's a full function of setting and getting and deleting. They're saying here an example, you can use the quotes to add in the space, and if you put that in brackets, we didn't really talk about that, I skipped over it, but you can use brackets to add phrases, enter in those phrases. So user bracket and then quotes like birds will delete that user, excuse me, um, that key attribute, sorry. Just trying to make sure I said the right word there. And they go through many more examples. Like I said, I'm not going to be super verbose about this because there's an expectation you guys are doing this. They go through computative properties. I didn't quite understand this one that great. This is one of the couple sticking points of why I went ahead and went through it twice, because I'll let you guys go through it. But it's just kind of weird because they have fruit taking the value of 5, which is the name of a property taken from variable fruit, which for up here they prompt which fruit to buy, and I think they give this as the answer given was apple, so apple becomes fruit, and then bag takes the value of fruit 5, and then if you alert out bag.apple, you get 5 if fruit equals apple. It's kind of weird because bag equals fruit colon 5. It's kind of weird to think that you're getting a value of bag.apple of 5 when the bag is the equal sign, not the 5. So that's interesting. And they show you a different way to write that, a little more concise way to write it, and it looks nicer. And then they start talking about square brackets again here, how you can basically concatenate. So this let fruit equal apple, bag it takes on fruit plus computers, and in this example you'll come out with 5 again, which is kind of strange. But bag, excuse me, you will come out with 5. You get the colon 5 at the bottom, at the end there, and then your output will be bag.apple computers equal 5, because you have bag here, and then your fruit, which is your apple, and then concatenate the computers into it. Remember, it's not when you add a string with anything really, a number or any value or variable, it's going to be a concatenation unless both types are exactly the same, which this is not. One's a string, well actually both these are strings, but even if one's a integer and one's a string, it's going to concatenate unless you change the type of one of them so that they're both equal the same type. Remember, it's only for plus. If you have multiplication, division, all those other ones are fine. It's just the plus that you got to be careful with. And they talk about square brackets are much more powerful than dot notation. They allow any property name and variables, and they are also more they're also more cumbersome to write. So most of the time, when property names are known and simple, the dot is used. And if we need something more complex, then we switch to square brackets. That's probably a key thing to remember. I'm sure we'll find out as we move along together in top what the best mode and best business practices to use. I'm assuming they're probably just going to say err on the side of caution to use square brackets, even though a little more annoying to write. There's a lot more versatility with them, especially when you get into the more complex things, because you can use them like arrays, which talks about it in this article, and the MDN as well. They aren't actually arrays, but they function like arrays, but kind of better because an array you can only access it via the index. The 0, you can't access it via anything else, and you don't always often know what the index of 0 is, for example. Especially if you have a large code base. With square bracket notation with objects, on the other hand, you can have an object equal a object type of name, for example. So you would reference it by calling that name object, or not object but key, so that actually intelligently, and in your code that you're calling for a name. So it's actually highly versatile. Property name limitations, they talk about basically inside of the object your keys can be named anything, which is kind of hard since we've always been told for, let, and return are illegal operators to use for functions. But for, let, and return will work for key values or keys for your objects. So I probably won't use them, but they're just illustrating that you can do that. It will work. And then they're just talking about in operators. So this is like testing for, this one's kind of weird, but it's testing ins, which ins is like testing if is age in user. So this would be true because age is a key inside of the object user. And then alert blah blah, is that in user? It is false because blah blah does not exist as a key in user object. So, and then they're saying down here that you can do a for loop with that, which is pretty cool. This I understand. So this would loop through a for statement with let key in user. So we're looking for key in the user object, and we're alerting out key. So we're basically looping through, and we're searching for anything that's key in user. So and that's going to execute the code in between. So here it's going to alert out keys. And the name age is admin. Name age and admin. So because we're reporting out and alerting out keys, so key 1, key 2, key 3. And then the second one is alert user key, which is when you put it in brackets, that's the value of key. So it'd be John 30 and true. Yeah, so it talks a lot about that. I've skipped around a little bit. They talk about ordering. Your code will, objects will be ordered linearly unless you're trying to access, like this example, code encodes. So you're looking for 40. If you're looking for values, they will always be numerical. So even though you typed in 49, 41, 41, 44, 1, as you see here, if you ask for it to ask for it to come back to you, that's why they're saying it's going to come out 1, 41, 41, 44, 49, because it's going to go in numeric order from lowest to highest, no matter what order they're at in here. And they go through some integer property examples. And then down here is kind of cool. They trick it. So like we were just talking about with the order, you can trick it into saying you're writing German, so you're writing something for German company or whatever, and you want their code to be first, even just like you coded it, you could actually put pluses in front of it. And so when you alert the plus code, it will then print out the code with the plus in front of it. So you'd have 49, 41, 44, 1, just like that, because you're adding in that plus sign before each code, and that's enough to get it to print, because this is going to print plus 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 plus, and then code is just going to then it's just going to go vertically down, and that's why it's printing the way it is. So if you coded it and you wanted Germany to be first because that's what you put first, you could trick it like that and put it. Plus doesn't mean anything special. It's just you're putting something common in front that they all will have, and so that basically the syntactically it's going to be keyed in on first, and it'll put everything else after that, the differences. So hope I explained that well. If not, it's just saying you can cheat by making the code non-integer, adding a plus sign before the code is enough. So, and there's just a summary on it, and then there's the MDN, which I'm making this video a little long, so I won't go over this too much. But this is going over the same thing. It's just, to me, it's a lot drier. It's a lot more referencey. Really good stuff. I still wouldn't skip it. I still recommend that you guys go ahead and work your way through here. They have you do some exercises in the middle, just little things here and there. I did them on my own. I'm not going to showcase them here in this video, and then there's a kind of a test your skills section in the bottom that you can go out to this link and give it a shot and basically code in here. I tried it. I don't like it. I've never liked the MDNs just because, I don't know, this just seems buggy for me, at least in my VM it is. I don't know if it's my browser or what, but it's just buggy. So I did try it, but I stopped after a little while, just being honest with you. So again, my brain's kind of fried too. So but yeah, I've got the main understanding completed here. So so that's it. So that's all I did for today. And then tomorrow, or the next video, which will probably be tomorrow, but if not, it'll be coming up soon. We'll be do the watch the videos. We'll talk about intermediate advanced magic array, and then we'll go right into practices and talk about that and start practicing, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exercises to complete before we can do a knowledge check and move on. So that's all I have. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of how your understanding of objects are, and if you've used them before, because I have not. So please like, share, and subscribe for more content. And with all that said, you know what I'm going to say next. See ya.